all, and thank you for joining us for the first Communities of Color Initiative member call. To begin by introducing you to the CoCI team leads at the NGLCC. They are myself, Kevin Carpenter, the Supplier Diversity Associate, and Alicia Green, the Supplier Diversity Manager. And we're lucky to be joined today by the CoCI chairs, who will briefly introduce themselves. First, I'd like to welcome Tiffany Keaton, Supplier Diversity Manager at TIAA. Tiffany, do you have any words you'd like to share with us?
Very happy to be here. Thankful to be a part of this great team and looking forward to the work that we have ahead in 2020.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. All right. So next, Earl Folks, the CEO and President of the Center for Black Equity. Would you like to share with the team?
Sure. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to participate. And I think that this initiative is very timely given the situation we are living through in our country. So hopefully when everything settles down, we'll be able to pick up a lot of steam and make some inclusive and make our businesses more inclusive and our organizations more diverse.
Yes, certainly. It's very important as we move forward and we restart the economy that it becomes one inclusive of all of us and all of the LGBT community. So thank you, Tiffany and Earl, for introducing yourselves and for being a part of the team. First, I'd like to give a brief overview of the Communities of Color Initiative. We started the initiative from the recognition of the need to ensure our network at the NGLCC is representing an environment that's affirming and supportive to the growth of minority LGBT businesses and the LGBT business community, and more specifically to the minority-owned certified LGBT business enterprise companies. In the past, some of the minority-owned LGBT BEs have shared with our leadership they didn't quite feel that NGLCC or other diverse certifying bodies were inclusive to the minority LGBT community at their events. And our leadership decided to take steps to ensure that no LGBT BE will feel that way again. And what we're hoping to do as the Communities of Color Initiative is to take steps and to work to achieve the initiative and to begin sharing and ensuring access and increased access to all the benefits of LGBT BE certification, to create a network for minority LGBT business owners, and to connect and share ideas, as well as educational opportunities and events with all of you and the broader community of minority-owned certified LGBT BEs. The team is working with the NGLC's affiliate chambers and organizational partners to ensure that we're sharing opportunities with you all as we move forward. Recently, I attended a talk hosted by the Illinois LGBT Chamber of Commerce and was able to hear from CoCI member LGBTs, rather, Roxana Daniels of Taj Development and Lou Moncho of 360 HR. The insights that they shared during the Illinois LGBT Chamber of Commerce's event reinforced the need to share information and experiences across the minority LGBT business community. And with that, there are a couple of dates I'd like to put on your radar today. The first of these is the date for our next member call. We will host our next member call on June 4th at 3 p.m. And our next in-person event will take place during NGLCC's International Business and Leadership Conference. Of course, we are all adjusting to what is going on with COVID-19, but we will have more details for you all as they become available and we move closer to NGLCC's conference. And we're always looking for more presenters to share their knowledge and to support the minority-owned certified LGBTBE community. So if you're interested in becoming a presenter, you can send us an email at CoCI@nglcc.org, and we will help you sign up. And with that said, I'd like to turn things over to our presenter for today, Brian Thompson of Brian Thompson Financial.
Hi, everybody. I think I'm waiting to get control so I can show you my slides.
Yes. Apologies, just a moment. There we go. You should have control now, Brian.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Okay. Hi again. Thanks, Kevin, for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm really excited for the initiative. I think it's going to be a good thing to make sure that minority business owners are coming into the fold and doing what we should as far as advancing the nation as a whole. So as Kevin mentioned, my name is Brian Thompson. I'm a tax attorney and also a certified financial planner. I spent 10 years representing small businesses and individuals against the IRS, and then I decided to become a little bit more proactive rather than reactive and help business owners plan so they don't get in trouble and they don't have to call a tax attorney in the first place. I specifically serve LGBTQ entrepreneurs who run mission-driven businesses. I think entrepreneurship and owning your own business is the true way to wealth. And I think mission-driven businesses are the way that we can actually change the world for the better. And so I'm specializing in helping those business owners come together and live a fulfilling life, both through their business and personally as well. So why am I here? We're here to talk about the secrets of funding your business. Starting a business is hard in the first place. And I think what most of us run into is how to fund this business. We all have the idea or have this passion about what we want to do, but don't necessarily know how to fund it or how to get it going. So I'll talk a little bit today about the funding options that you have. We'll talk about how to take advantage of them, the advantages and disadvantages of each, and then also the keys to making the most out of the options. I'm a bit of a stats nerd, so bear with me while I provide some context and some stats to why we're talking about is important. I have some good and some bad for you. So the good, there are 8 million minority firms, according to the Minority Business Development Agency of the US Department of Commerce. So 8 million minority firms that produce about $1.4 trillion in gross revenue. So that's a lot of revenue for the nation. And we're also growing 2 times as fast as non-minority businesses, which I think is helpful in helping us get into the fold and making sure that people who we are serving are actually getting the services that they want. Obviously, with the good, there's always some bad. And I'm sure a lot of you have experienced or at least know about the racial wealth gap. Ms. Mirza Baradaran, I always get her name wrong, but she wrote The Color of Money, which is a great book I think we should all read. And it talks about how the Black banking system has sort of devolved over the century. And she gave this really interesting stat about how in the 150 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, the percentage of Black ownership wealth in the US has grown from 0.5% to only 1%. So 0.5% in 150 years, which is to me just mind-blowing. The Institute of Policy Studies also did some research on the decline of Black wealth and minority wealth between 1983 and 2013, which included the 2008 recession. Black ownership, the median household Black ownership went from 6,800 to 1,700, the median wealth. For Latino households, it was cut in half from 4,000 to 2,000, while at the same time, white households, their median wealth increased 14% from 102,000 to 116,000. So you can already see the gap of 116,000 and 2,000 and 1,700 of the median wealth gap in the country. That's astounding to me. Also, there's been a ton of research just on how we as minority owners get turned away from loans at a higher rate. the Center for Investigative Reporting went through 31 million studies of mortgages and saw that Blacks were turned away with the same qualifications, turned away in 48 states, or were less likely to get approved in 48 states, Latinos in 25 states, Asians in 9 states, and Native Americans in 3 states. They also did this especially prevalent analysis of Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, which showed the same thing, that minority owners or minority people who have the same qualifications of others are turned away more likely than not. And I'm not giving you these statistics to discourage you. I want to highlight the uphill battle that we have. And again, why it's important and essential that we actually learn what we need to do, what we need to know about making the most out of the options that we have. So, oops. Okay, and so what are your options as far as starting a business? There are 4 that I'm going to highlight today: self-funding, crowdfunding, bank funding, and venture capital. And again, we'll go through the advantages and disadvantages of each, and then we'll talk about how to make the most of them. I'll try to pause in between each of them, so if you have any questions, feel to put something in the chat or just unmute yourself, and we can answer questions as we go along. And I will also save some time at the end for questions if you have them. So let's get into the self-funding aspect of it. These are for people who are just starting their business, people who are starting out and have an idea and have a passion and want to make it work. Your funding options are going to be fairly limited because you don't have an established business. And so with the things like cash, credit cards, personal family loans, other investment options like a Roth 401k or Roth IRA, these are money that you're going to have to either have or set aside or incur in order to make your business grow and make your business start. And so in order to do that, I'm sorry, there's already a question. Oh, accepting questions here, got it. And so in order to fund, again, your business, you're gonna have to either come up with money beforehand. To me, always cash is king. And especially if you're running a small business, it's gonna be hard for you to maneuver and do the things that you want without cash. Obviously, people do use credit cards, and I have a client who came to me who had over 220,000 in credit card debt funding their business. It was a highly revenue generating business, but they got in a cycle of using credit cards to fund over and over again. So I suggest starting with cash if you can, giving yourself 2 years of runway in order to make sure that you can pay for both your personal and your business expenses, The things that hurt people the most are not actually the business itself, but being able to fund your personal life, your mortgage, your utilities, those types of things, your food, while your business is growing. The advantages of this is you have the most flexibility that you can, especially with the credit card options now. There are many credit cards where you can get 0% interest for 6 to 20 months. US Bank right now is offering, I think, almost 24 months of 0% interest credit cards. And you can also find other low business rate cards at 7 to 8%, which are also helpful and low interest, and you're not digging yourself too much of a hole in order to get your business started. The main disadvantage of this is you have to at least save. So it could be a couple of years before you're saving that 2 years of runway, or you may have to go into debt to fund your business. And getting out of debt is a hard cycle, as I'm sure many of you know or experience. So making sure to do it in a way that is best for you and your business is the way to look at it. And especially one other caveat, if you're taking out personal loan from family and friends, this is something that can cause a lot of tension for people. So make sure that you're having the loan terms in writing and making sure that you're able to specify the terms and pay them back when you're supposed to. I hear someone typing, so I'm going to pause here for questions. Let me know if you have any questions or have anything that you want to add to the self-funding. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I will go to the next. Keep doing that. The next is crowdfunding. This is a new source where people go to the web and have people who either are friends or family or other people that they just may know casually give them money to actually start their business. There are several options for this. Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Lending Club, which is actually best for small businesses, Fundable, GoFundMe. There are many options that you can use in order to make sure that you're getting the capital that you need in a way that still offers some flexibility. The great thing about the advantage of this is that there are no credit approvals. They also offer flexible terms. And it's low risk because the people that are giving you money aren't investors in your business. And so we want to make sure that you're obviously learning the different, especially if you're going to the different websites, you're learning the different particulars of that funding option, making sure that you're familiar with what you need to provide and or what you may need to pay back if that's something that you're offering. Most companies offer something like a service or a product in exchange for that. You just need to be careful with that exchange. If there is an exchange of monetary value, then it becomes taxable income to you. And that's not what you want. You want this to be a gift, and you want it to be a gift back to the person that you're providing. So again, just if you're doing it this route, read the fine print, make sure that you're, and also considering the value of what you're giving away. Let's see a couple questions here. Oh, no, so just asking you to move. I will pause again for any questions or any analysis of this options. I've seen a couple people do it this way and have been successful. I know a business owner that is trying to fund a trip around the US to work her business and have her business in different states. It's working. So it's a new option that I think if you're also looking for funding it's grateful to try, or it's easy to try. Any questions? Okay, we'll move to bank funding. So this is when you get a couple of years into your business. You're either 2 or 3 years into your business and you're able to supply banks, credit unions, or other organizations with information about your business. So how it's funding, how it's running, those types of things. And why it takes 2 years is because banks and other lending institutions want to make sure that they're getting their money back, obviously. And so you need to be able to supply information as far as a profit and loss, revenue projections for the next 5 years, something like a balance sheet or a business plan as well. There are options that give you the status to get more money. Obviously, with bank loans, you can get up to $50,000, $150,000. But also you need to provide information about your business. And this is where I feel like a lot of small businesses, especially as you're starting to get going and focusing on what you do, they get sort of lost. They get lost in the minutia, or they get lost of not keeping track of the minutia of your business, the profit and loss, the accounting, those types of things. So it's very easy to make sure that you're actually, you can delegate this responsibility to an accountant. And that way you can still focus on the things that you want to do, while also making sure that you have the fundamentals of your business intact. This is super important for any type of bank lending. The SBA, if you are having trouble getting a loan, they offer SBA-backed guaranteed loans, which is where they're basically guaranteeing the loan itself and making sure that you can get access to the loan and get access to the money. But super important to make sure that you have the fundamentals here. Have a business plan. If you're still trying to figure out how to create a business plan or need information about a business plan, I love it's a book by Eric Rice called The Lean Startup, and helps give you a template for making sure that the business plan is in place, but something that is flexible as well. Again, showing up your accounting. And if you have the ability to shop rates, you definitely should, because if you're in demand business, you'll be able to get lower rates for what you're looking for. I'm trying to think of any. So advantages are substantial loan amounts. Disadvantages are you still need to qualify, basically. Sounds like I hear a question. So is it a good idea to get a line of credit from, oops, can't read the entire thing. Is it a good idea to get a line of credit from a bank even when you don't need to establish credibility? Is it a good idea to get a line of credit from the bank even when you don't need to establish credibility? I'm not sure I understand established credibility. I think lines of credit are good, especially in this interest rate environment. So having the flexibility around that. But again, to me, cash is king. So if you have cash to work off, I'm a fan of a method called profit first, where you're dividing your business income into different sections. So the owner's pay, the operating expenses, your profit for the business, and taxes, to make sure that the business is paying all of those. And so giving yourself the flexibility to make sure that you're paying everything that you need to. And then having that line of credit as a background in case you do get in trouble, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, nobody expects the coronavirus to take over and shut down many businesses. So yeah, I think having a line of credit is good if you can get one. And interest rates are low at this point, so I think that's a good idea. You also want to be careful too that banks also do shut down lines of credit. They can do that without moment's notice. So making sure that you're not relying on this solely for your emergencies. Having an emergency fund for the business is also important. Love that question. Anything else? I feel like this is where most people want, and most people have questions about getting the funding for the business and making sure that you're doing it in a way that doesn't get you in trouble. Are you familiar with CDFI for minority-owned businesses? I do not know what that is. Would you mind explaining a little bit more what that is? CDFI for minority-owned businesses. I don't know if you can unmute yourself or not. Okay, cool. Thanks, Bridget. I love learning about funding options and different things. Minority-owned businesses have the ability to get special funding options, which is also part of why becoming an LGBT certified business is also helpful. And then making sure that you have access to the different funding options that give you an advantage because minorities deserve sort of funding options. Here's somebody coming on. Is that you, Bridget?
Hello, this is.
Okay.
I just want to let everyone know that Brian has opened up a platform for you for this to be kind of more interactive. So if you do have a question, then I believe that he has opened it up enough that you can unmute yourself. You have the access to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thanks,
Brian,
Alicia. Yes, I can.
Hi, how you doing? Excuse the sirens outside. I live downtown.
That's okay.
CDFI is a community development financial institution. Basically, there's resources for minority-owned businesses that provide grants. Other banks that partner together to provide grants for minority-owned businesses. And I hear a lot about it, and I've read about it, but there's no definitive answer, or there's no definitive resources to provide to get you into that program. So I'll always, and whenever we talk about funding or business funding, I always ask that question as far as CDFI. Again, I'm going to provide a couple of links to see if anybody else has heard of it. But there's grants out there available, and what's happening is Caucasian business owners use their spouses because they're also considered minority-owned businesses, and they're eating up all the grants because a lot of us aren't familiar with that process. So I'm here to, put it out there as often and as much as I can so that we can get those grants instead of those other individuals that probably could find other resources. I'm going to go ahead and mute, and I'll find that information.
All right, I appreciate you bringing that up. That's really good information, and I'm sort of sad to hear that people are finding loopholes and take advantage of it. But if there's a way that we can make sure to spread the word, I will do my best to spread the word as well, to make sure that you're getting grants or loans or accessibility. That's what I'm here for. Appreciate you sharing. Any other information or questions about business funding, especially with banks? Carlos says, for those of us going after government contracts, what are your thoughts about backup funding, given the contract sometimes require us to fund delivery when they pay back? I think lines of credit are the best option, or other ways to partner with other financial institutions. Yeah, if you're funding the money, I think lines of credit are a good option for that. And then also, again, cash, making sure that you're fronting. If you're in it, and if you're set up your business in a way that actually can front cash and take all of the revenue itself, it's going to be a much more flexible business. I've seen so many people who've gotten lines of credit cut or taken off, especially if they have too much credit versus too much debt versus your credit ratio. And so advancing the money is sometimes hard, but if you have a line of credit, I think that's a good way. Again, if you know that you're going to get paid, I think making sure that whether you're using a line of credit or a credit card or a loan, just making sure that you're focusing on profit. I feel like a lot of businesses also focus on the fact of revenue. saying, oh, well, this will generate a lot of revenue for me, but how much profit is it actually going to get you? And making sure that you're only taking on those business opportunities that allow the biggest profit rather than the biggest amount of revenue. Does that make sense, Carlos? Did I answer your question? Awesome. Great questions. And thanks for sharing that link, Bridget. Anything else? A little bit more time, so I can go on to the last, which is venture capital. This is what most people want, and I love this picture just because it has the thought of a lot of money when VCs come in, and that's what they provide. They provide a lot of funding, and so venture capitals is this outside source of money. They seek a long-term return on their investments, and this is a lot of money. So anywhere from 150,000 to a couple of million is what I've seen already. And the great part is that you have the money to grow your business and you have the flexibility to do a lot of great things. The bad news is less than 1% of startups actually get VC, and they're really focused on high growth companies that will actually provide 5 times of investments, 5 times the investment that they're investing over a long span of time. So how you do this is you have to find an investor, and this could be an individual, which are considered angel investors, or VC firms. And there are lots out there, so you have to make sure to do your homework. That's again the same type of thing that you would with bank funding. You're providing due diligence as far as your business plan, your profit and loss, the profitability of the company. Obviously, you have to do your due diligence too with the companies that you're getting in business with. These terms are a lot more flexible, and because you have the opportunity to work with different companies, I suggest making sure that you do negotiate. I have a client now who was with one VC that gave him a lot of money, but then was taking 20% of his revenue for in perpetuity, and that's not what you want. So we're working on getting him a new contract to make sure that he's not stuck in a way. He was so excited to get VC funding and realized that he didn't really negotiate the terms. So if you're in this situation and you have the ability to get funding from a VC, make sure that you do your due diligence on the company and you're negotiating the terms. But again, the main advantage is that you get a lot of money to do a lot of cool things. And the disadvantage here is that you lose some ownership in the company. They are investors, and so they are owners, and you may lose either management control or ownership of the business entirely. You can get pushed out. So again, make sure to do your due diligence as far as the people that you're investing with. You obviously have to know and tweak your numbers and your business numbers, and make sure you have solid accounting, profit and loss, and make sure that you have a good sense of what you would provide in the long-term investment returns that you could provide to a VC. See people providing some links to the CDFIs. It's a great one. Any questions about venture capital or VC? Appreciate the sharing of the links. That's it for me as far as the different funding options. So I'm going to sort of just open it up to any questions that you have. Again, I have experience as both a tax attorney and certified financial planner, so I'm here for you to answer any questions that you may have about funding your business or anything that you have with your business.
Hi, this is Tanika. I'm not sure if you all can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, I actually had a question about the comment that was previously made regarding grants for small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Where are those? Where can you find those? Typically, when I go on grants.gov, they're really more about kind of more nonprofit centered programs. So I'm not sure where to really even start looking for grants for small businesses.
Yes, I found the same thing, that the grants are harder to find, which is why I don't really include them in the funding options. It's usually for, like you pointed out, nonprofit businesses or especially special types of businesses. But it looks like in the chat, there's been a couple of links to different types of programs. Bridget has provided a few, Chadwick has provided a few. Got an excellent business plan resource, which is great. Yeah, I'm just as interested as you to find grants that can help, but usually those are very few and far in between to find. I don't really include them. It's a great question.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
I have something I want to put out, Brian, as far as grants versus loans, et cetera. And we probably all know this, but one of the things my client was under the impression that if you can apply for a grant, depending on your credit, your options are better. Your credit matters no matter what you're applying for to try to get money. So grant, loan, or anything, that's a high recommendation for working on the credit.
Great point. Is that Bridget?
Yes, that was me.
Yeah, great point. I love that. Yes, shoring up your credit and making sure that you have great credit is important in any aspect, especially even if you're taking a business bank loan. You need to you're probably gonna have to personally guarantee the loans, so you're gonna be on the hook for these loans either way. So having having business credit and also good personal credit is a very good thing that you need to make sure that you're taking into account.
Brian, you mentioned when it comes to your business plan in terms of your profit and loss, your financials, things like that, particularly if you've got 2 years in the business. Life plan, I went through a small business development center to build my business plan, and I had already had one, but life plan was phenomenal with your charts, your graphs, your projections. Not to mention, if you go through the small business development center, you get a little bit of support through their financial resources to help you get that loan, because now you've got backing similar to SBA to get some support on making that loan. Also, they'll review your business plan and make sure you've got your checks and balances in terms of what your projections are and what your previous year's financial goals or your milestones were. So get the help within the Small Business Administration or SBDC, whoever, to build that business plan, especially if you want money. They want to see that, and it's got to be strong.
Absolutely. Another great point. The thing about business plans, I mean, I think they're important also for obviously getting funding. I'm a huge fan of the one-page business plan. I know that some organizations don't want to see the charts and the details and those types of things. But to me, those extenuated business plans or those really accentuated business plans are for other funders. To me, a really good business plan should be something that guides you as a principal and make sure that you can, which is why I love the Lean Startup. It's a flexible business plan that's short, that allows you to adjust as you go along. You have a business plan, you put out whatever service or product that you want to put out and get feedback from your customers, feedback about what you're doing, and then you adjust as you go along. It's important to have some sort of guiding principle, but really the feedback that you get from running your business is also super important.
One more thing, Brian, regarding that, because I have a business plan summary, which is a one-pager, like you mentioned. It has all the highlights, with your projections, your competitors, et cetera. But what are your thoughts on the business model canvas?
The business model canvas? I don't know what that is.
The business model, I'm all about roadmaps. It's pretty much a roadmap on your resources, what you're going to use, who your team's going to be, who your connections are, and whether or not it's going to work. I'll send you a template if you like to discuss it. But the Canvasizer is a website that I'll put the Canvasizer on there as well. A website you can use. A lot of times, business plan minus 30 pages. Nobody's got time to 30 pages with the business plan. They want to get that money. Put the word out. So the business plan summary, that one pager, takes away the stress of that big business plan so that you can kind of focus your thoughts and see if it's going to work while you're doing your reverse interviews and you're pulling up individuals and asking questions. Would you buy from me? And if not, why? So I can tweak my business plan and particularly my business model canvas to see how I can get my customers, my target market, and do the research and make it stick.
Yeah. I've never heard the term business model canvas, but it sounds like it's been helpful for you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, I'm one of those that's all over the place, as you can probably hear in my voice, and being focused on, what my target market is, what's scalable, what's not scalable, what's viable. Using that business model canvas helped me to realize what the team I needed to put in place to utilize for growing my business. Again, I will share that. I'll put it out. You guys take a look. Most of you have probably already seen it. If you haven't, by all means, I recommend it. It's great for focus, if nothing else.
Yeah, Great. Thanks for sharing the link. And again, I mean, I'm all for, long, extensive business plans. I just don't know. I feel like a lot of times they get in our way of actually getting started. And to me, the most important part, if you have some sort of focus and you have what you were saying about having a target market, that's super important. Going through your client avatar, making sure that you know the age of your person that you're trying to market to, where that person lives, what they buy, where they go, those types of things. There's a lot of great templates for creating a client avatar, which I think are important to making sure that you're marketing and you're very narrowed in who you're trying to approach. Because the internet and the has allowed accessibility to different types of people and different types of consumers, you can be very niche and still make a lot of money. So making sure that you have, to me, it's better not to try to serve everyone, but to serve people who are in a specific market very well, and then you can grow from there. Any other insights or information? This has been really helpful as far as different links, as far as where you can sign up for a business plan, talking about grants, making sure that you have business funding in place for banks and those types of things. Anything else?
Chadwick, were you trying to say something? You're muted.
Awesome. Thanks, Bridget.
Okay.
Okay.
You just type it in the box.
The box.
I can read it.
Could I interrupt for a second? My name is Jake Candelari. I'm calling from Massachusetts, from Jay's Bed and Breakfast.
Sure.
I wanted to find out, as far as minority businesses itself, when they say the state grants or state funds are available regarding corporations and businesses, because I'm new to it, does anybody have had good success with that? Any contracts within the state that are geared to, minority-owned businesses? I'm on the hospitality aspects of it, but I don't know if anybody else is on the hospitality on this call, if they have had any success with it, and they can share some good or bad, or certain things that they worked on and certain things that they'd have problems getting to, or what have you.
Mm-hmm. And are you talking specifically in Massachusetts, Jake?
Well, I'm in Massachusetts, but I can, if somebody's coming from another state and needs to hold a conference here or do a retreat here on at my facility, I welcome that. So, but I didn't know if anybody on this call is on the hospitality aspects, whether it be restaurants or hotel industry or tourism or events or anything like that.
I'm not in the hospitality business or in that realm, so I'm welcome to open it up to anybody else. I think local chambers of commerce obviously are helpful in having different tools. The National Chamber of Commerce, NGLCC, is also super helpful. So to get you access to different types of grants and loans from state agencies or federal agencies. But I don't know if anybody else has anything specific.
Hi, Jay. This is Sister Wong. We met before. I'm also from Massachusetts. I have a marketing agency in Mass, and I'm certified by the state as a woman, minority, and LGBT business enterprise. I've been certified for about 5 years. Haven't had a lot of success, but I'm going after a grant that specializes in marketing. I have, my business is listed on the Massachusetts portal, so I've got calls before, and I've done a little bit of business being a subcontractor of another company. So, I think that it takes a lot of time to, go through the contracts and write the grants. And that's one of the challenges that I have. It's just not having enough people and the time to really go after those grants. I hope it's helpful.
I would say, this is Cornelius. I'm from DC. So I do all of the event planning for the for our chamber here locally. As somebody that works in the hospitality industry itself, I think when wanting to connect in the hospitality industry and wanting to get more connected, I think the best way would be to connect with the Convention Center Bureau. And that would be a major resource to you. I'm not for sure if you're utilizing that. Every city has their sense of their convention center who works with all the hotels and all the bed and breakfasts. So I would tell you to first connect with your local chamber and see what they're doing, what connections they have. If they don't have any connections for you, but also reach out to the Convention Center Bureau. They should be able to connect you because they're always looking at ways to connect local local businesses, and that's one of the main contacts that I have when I'm looking at different hotels, because most of our events for our chambers are in local hotels. Most of them within Marriott, but some of them are within Hilton and other independent hotels.
Awesome, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I am in
Bureau?
contact with some of those. In contact with some of the chambers, and I'm very active in them. But I was just wondering if anybody have had, as far as the state itself, no, more locally, but in state, things that people get calls or anything like that. Thanks for that advice. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Cool. Thanks, Jake, Susie, and Chris. Anything else on your mind? We still have a few more minutes. Great questions, great insights. And I think it's helpful to have a space to talk and connect. As business owners, sometimes it feels very lonely, and having a space like this to connect and discuss things and talk back and forth different options is very helpful. So I'm glad that this now exists. The Communities of Color Initiative exists, and we can have a space to talk about these things.
Speaking of lonely, I'm back. So,
welcome back, Bridget.
Obviously, as a small business, just getting certified, had no issues previously in terms of getting clients on a small scale. But like I say, as I'm trying to scale up and look at these larger contracts, now I'm looking at hiring on other contractors, teaming agreements, partnerships, things like that. What is your advice or guidance? Does anybody on the panel or anybody on this call have any advice in terms of moving forward with building your team for larger contracts?
What business are you doing? What business are you pursuing? What, you didn't mention what your business was, Bridget. What are you trying to build?
You know what? I'm out of San Diego, consulting, Austin Consulting. Basically, I'm a service-based company. I do human capital management, program management, training, and curriculum development. So again, one-on-one going solo with maybe one assistant has been no problem with a smaller contract. But as I scale and move forward, I'm going to need to bring on teams, a larger team. So which means I'm working with recruiters to build my team. I'm dealing with wrap rates, labor rates, all of that good stuff as well in terms of paying and getting my insurance. Well, not my insurance, but my coverage for my team. Anybody already gone through that? Got any guidance, advice? I'd love to hear it. Brian, I sent you an email as well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, growing your team is important, and making sure that you have the right resources in place. To me, the thing that I've seen most often and that's become most problematic is whether these people are employees or contractors. So making sure that you specify which one they are and make sure you know the rules around.
The compliance,
right.
One employee changes the whole game.
Correct. And it can get very dicey and tricky. So making sure the real distinction is about control. So if you have a contractor, make sure that they have the ability to control their schedule, control what work they take and do not take on, and you're not determining things for them. So super important to make sure that you have that distinction as you grow your team, and depending on what you want to do, because if you do then want employees, then you're gonna have to worry about payroll and benefits and those types of things. Would love to hear anybody else's experience with growing a team, making sure that you have the right people in place.
And were they able to keep them as contractors versus bringing them on as employees and dealing with those benefits? I mean, you're going to deal with fringe benefits as either way to put into your fees, correct, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have employees versus contracts or contractors. Mm-hmm. I'm all ears. I love that shirt, Cornelius.
I
Bridget,
can't see the beacon.
I think that
Sorry,
that.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, man. You know, I just said I love that shirt.
Oh, thank you.
So, Bridget, that is a great question. And I think that's also a great um, topic for another webinar in a way, because those are things that we need to look at whenever it comes to businesses that are looking to grow, but they need the manpower or woman power or they need people power in order to gain the bigger contracts, and they can't do it by themselves. So I think that is a great topic, and we've noted that here um, as to find someone that can speak more on how to handle that as far as with the finances and the money that you have to put out and how long it takes for them to pay you for the contract and things of that sort. The sustainability of it all. So that is something that we will look at when thinking about our next webinar. And if there is anyone that is currently on this call that is able to do a presentation on that, we'll love for you to submit your application to present. However, we do have 10 minutes until 4. Brian, are there any other questions for Brian or regarding this webinar?
No, I appreciate it, Brian. I appreciate your time and your information.
Of course.
Now, this webinar is being recorded. Are we going to get an email for the recording for review?
It is definitely being recorded. And once it's completed, probably by next week or the end of this week, we are just on Tuesday. I'm already being stuck in the house.
We'll be home.
Yep.
But we will work on it, and once it's ready, it will be available. I'm not sure if we will send it out to everyone just because of how big it is, but there will be a link. We will work with our media to gain a link to send it out. So yes, we can send this out.
Yeah. And if any questions do come up, if you think of something afterwards, I'm more than happy to help out. So here's how to get a hold of me. My email's right up there on top. You can follow me on Twitter at Brian Financial. My website is there. I write for Forbes on a monthly basis. So you can find a lot of information for small businesses there, for the LGBTQ community there. But I'm here to help. I want to make sure that we as minority LGBTQ business owners are doing what we can to live the life that we want, and then also help the people that we want to serve most. So I appreciate your time.
Awesome.
And I have to kick it back, right? Let's see.
So awesome. So before we close, before everyone starts logging off, I would just like to once again thank you, Brian, for this wonderful presentation and information that we all were able to enjoy. And now I'm about to switch over to my screen just for some last minute announcements. Let me go in and all right. So again, I just want to reiterate, our next call is planned for June 4th. We do not have a presenter as of right now. So if you are interested, I know that there is a link that we will send out in our follow-up email for you to send out your suggestions. And Brian, again, I would like to definitely thank you for making it an open forum. So we would like for our communities of color webinars and member calls for everybody to be included and, be interactive with us during these times, during the COVID-19. We all need somebody to talk to, and, you own businesses, and to just share ideas. We do better when we all work together. So we will we might have a call before June 4th if we can get more suggested topics that you might just want to talk about. We might not necessarily need a presenter. It'll just be for us to run ideas with each other. So we will definitely be in communication in the next couple of weeks, if not within this week, letting you know some future phone calls for us to just a touch base. I thought that this was really nice. So again, our conference is still on for July 28th through the 31st. So if you have any questions regarding registering, please email supplierdiversity@nglcc.org, and we'll be more than happy to share information with you. As of right now, depending on how long we are supposed to be quarantining ourselves, it is, we are going to put a clause where if we so happen to have to cancel, that there is a refund. So if you are planning on going right now, please go on and register during the early bird, okay? Next, again, we would like to thank you all for attending. This was very great. We've enjoyed this and we look forward to having more. Again, if you want to connect with us, our email address is at the top of the screen. And as I informed you of the member info sheet, if you are not currently a member, you are, please fill out this information sheet so we can have your information and so that you could be included in these emails, because we are starting to specifically email just those members. And we want everyone to be included in this great information and educational webinars for you to continue to grow your company. And if you have any information in general about your certification, feel free to contact the Supplier Diversity team at supplierdiversity.org, supplierdiversity@nglcc.org. So if there are not any further questions for myself, or while you have the co-chairs on the line, is there any general questions regarding the Communities of Color Initiative?
Hey, Alicia, Roxana here.
Hey, Roxana.
How are you today?
All is well. All is well.
All is well. That's a beautiful thing, to be well. I'm trying to get more. So what exactly will be the focus for this group, and how we're going to be moving inside of NGLCC? What is the I know that the object is to become more, to get more people of color involved in the chamber and move, but what exactly will the CoCI be doing? And so is this about just doing business development through NGLCC, or exactly what?
Great question. And I'm not gonna, if Kevin, if you want to answer that.
Hi, Alicia. Yeah, certainly. Thank you for that, Roxana. So as we move forward, we of course want to bring in as many members of the minority LGBT business community as possible, because there are great benefits once you're certified, once you're a part of this team, and you all know about the benefits of certification, and that's sort of one part of joining CoCI, is making sure that we're laser focusing on providing those benefits certification, but also we're the call today, as you saw, like the organic nature and the conversation. What we're really hoping to do, in addition to dealing with certification, is to create a network and a community for minority LGBT business owners and certified minority LGBT business owners to connect and share ideas like we were doing today. Because again, you have to have the experience to sometimes to know how to address things, and who better to hear from than peers in the field. Mm-hmm. And then so right. The network certification, and then also of course educational opportunities and events. Right. As they roll in, we'll be sharing them out. We've been putting out our feelers, trying to find out what resources are out there. And as we move forward, we're going to be sharing those with you all, and hoping that you'll join us in participating in educational opportunities that may come down from partners or affiliate chambers, or that we may host at the National Chamber, and then also events from all of these various groups. And so those are sort of the three big takeaways, if anything, from the call.
Right. So no, thank you, Kevin, for that, and for that great explanation. And Roxana, so yeah, so basically a big part of it is business development. For those, to get information from other businesses, minority-owned businesses. And because like Kevin said, only you know what how it feels or what you have dealt with as a minority and as an LGBT business. So business development is a big part of it. However, it's also just we want to gain more, want to be able to certify more minority-owned businesses so they can be included in these opportunities. But if there's something that you would want to focus on that we might be missing, please share that with us. We want to hear from you. We want to know, what can we do? What is it that you are seeking? What do you want to get out of this Communities of Color initiative? Because Kevin and I and the co-chairs, we can have a platform for you, but we are not business owners, or I'm not a business owner. Kevin's not a business owner, so I don't know what it is that y'all are seeking. So we are here to hear what it is that you are looking for. But yes, business development is a big part of it, because we know that there are a lot of minority businesses that are not fully developed, from what we were hearing, or that you don't get the financial opportunities and advances that other businesses do receive. So that's why we thought that this webinar would have been a great first webinar to deal with financial takeaways for your business, as well as sustainability. So did that kind of answer your question, Roxana?
Yeah, I was trying to get out of unmute. Yes, it does. I appreciate that.
Okay.
So if we've got any ideas or we want to contribute anything, we just send an email over to CoCI@nglcc.org.
Yes, please do.
Got it. Thank you so much, Miss Alicia.
You're welcome. Are there any
Smiley.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, I'd like to thank Kevin so much, our team lead here at NGLCC, for getting this information and for his work on this presentation. And he met Brian actually at the event in Chicago. So thank you so much for that. You did a great job. Thank you to our co-chairs for participating, Tiffany and Earl, for participating in our calls and in our webinar. We appreciate that. Without further ado, you all can enjoy the rest of your evening, and we look forward to being in contact soon. Stay healthy, stay safe, wash your hands, and we look forward to seeing you in July. All right. Talk to y'all.
June. Did June or July? Oh, seeing. Okay. I'm confused. I probably need to go wash my hands.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Can you send me some information on the conference for July?
Definitely will do that.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, guys.
All right, you too. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you all.